What's that echo? Is that me? No. I might be. That might be. All the mics muted. I don't know what they're doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuning into the very best. For the Jazzy Fizzle Productions. Sam, Sean Paul, shut up. I know she like me. I kinda dig it. So I did my thing for her. She joined in with me. Now we getting groovy. Hotter than jacuzzi. So shorty, won't you slow it down? Other fellas, and I ain't hating. They try to do it like me, it ain't the same. Front to back, shorty, side to side, and lean with it with a soldier now. Cause it's so fly, girl. You should come to my crib, yeah. Mommy, go flip on you. You, I'm not tripping, but you should be my girl.
Open that window.
Hey, it's your girl Nay coming to you with another episode of As Told by Nay the podcast. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and let's talk about it. What up? Happy Thursday. It's your girl Nay coming to you with another episode of As Told by Nay the podcast. I hope that everyone's having a great day thus far. I am. Check me out. Hardly home, but always repping. The greatest HBCU that there is. Shout out to Florida A&M. All right. So last month we did love, relationships, connections, right? So the month of March, we are going to dive into what I have titled the COVID Chronicles. It has been exactly a year since the world completely shifted. Life as we knew it completely turned. We weren't really sure what that was going to look like. And, and we're making do with what has been given to us. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of reflecting over this time last year and how crazy it was initially, right? Work shut down. We thought that we were going to be closed for 2 weeks, and here we are a year later, and I'm still working remotely. I don't know about you guys, but life is just different. Some things I don't think will ever be the same, but one thing about mankind, we're always evolving, right? Things are changing, and we just kind of go with the flow and figure it out. So on this first week of the COVID Chronicles, I'm going to have a couple on to talk about their experience with having a baby in this time. If I had to give tonight's conversation a title, I would name it Quarantine Baby, because we kind of went into March of last year in quarantine, right? We started the whole social distancing thing, staying away, tend to the only people in your household and all those types of things, right? And now life continues to continue. So if I could go ahead and get my guest on for the evening, we're going to introduce Miss Christina and Basil on to have this dialogue with me, Quarantine Baby, about their quarantine baby.
Are we on yet?
No, just 1 second. One second. Yes, there they are. Hey, best friend.
Hi.
Hey, Basil. How are you doing?
How's it going, Nay?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Can't complain. How are you guys?
Good.
Yeah, we're doing good. Same. Can't complain. Just navigating in this crazy time.
Right. Trying to make it do what it do, right?
Right.
Okay. So true as told by Nate fashion. Before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and let us know what we're saluting to this evening. We're not going to take a drink because I forgot my drink, and then I kind of last minute told y'all about this part. So we're just going to acknowledge something this evening, and we'll rock with it like that. So what are we saluting to tonight?
Let's go ahead.
I'm also saying let's just salute to good health and good and being positive. Good health, being positive, and just having positive people around you.
Right. Perfect lead in, especially talking about COVID. So we are saluting to good health and positive energy. I am here for that.
For sure.
All right. So before we get started with the actual conversation, I did want to do this little segment that I like to call Excuse Me, Come Again. And you guys are married, so I'm going to do a couples edition for you. And it's 4 random questions. You guys did not get a chance to prepare for this, but, just rock with it. It's kind of like I saw this game that people play at their weddings where they'll ask a question and then one person holds the shoe up and the other person holds the shoe up and you see which one, So I want you guys to point, though. I'm going to ask a question. It's in regards to the both of you. And if it's yourself, you point at self, or if it's your partner, you point at your partner. Okay?
Okay.
All right, cool. So question number 1, who said I love you first? Okay. Question number 2, who cooks the most? Okay. Basil winning. All right. Who's funnier? That was a funny question. And then last, who would you say is more responsible?
Oh,
okay. Nice. All right, so let's jump right into it. Quarantine baby. Tonight we're going to be discussing you guys having your little one through this whole COVID era. It's been a crazy time. It's been crazy with just like life in general and all the changes that has come along with it. So right off the bat, I want to ask you guys, you guys got married pre-COVID. And so when you went into the idea of having kids, not even knowing any of this stuff was about to take place, what was the mindset?
Well, we knew that we were gonna have kids, like no matter really what the time frame was, but and we necessarily didn't even plan to do it during COVID. It just really was a coincidence.
Right.
I would say the same. It was just a coincidence. I mean, and then just we always had a plan to start a family, and then I guess when COVID hit and everybody was kind of on lockdown, we had a lot of time on our hands.
Right. Everybody working from home. So were you guys working from home at the time? How was your work life set up pre-baby?
We actually didn't find out till April that I was pregnant, but we both started working from home in the middle of March. Okay. So this was like really early after we got the stay-at-home orders.
Right.
We found out probably like around my birthday, like 3 weeks later.
Oh, so y'all wasn't even home together that long before y'all out here just, okay, got it. Okay, so April, okay, we about to have this baby. So then, by then, COVID was still very new, but it was very real and very in effect. So what did that then turn into as you started to think about, okay, we're pregnant and we're about to have this baby and life is crazy right now?
Well, like in the beginning, we didn't really know like what the impact would be. We was just excited to be working from home and tagging people on Instagram, playing all these little games. Like we didn't know it was like about to be a whole year later.
Right.
And we're like approaching a year, in 3 days. And like we had no idea that, you know, it was kind of fun at first. Hey, we're working from home, we're hanging out, like we're day drinking, like not while working, but like we're just having a good job. We're just having a good time. So we had no idea like what was about to happen as far as just like hospital visit. I know we'll get into that later, but we really had no idea.
Right. Like my mind frame at the time was, I'm off of work right now. I get to work from home, you know, because the majority of the time, you know, I'm at the office. But, you know, for everybody to work at home, I was just like, yeah, let me just take this time to just kick back, relax, and you know, it should be over. It should be over within a month. You know, that's how I was thinking. And then, you know, like Chris said, a year later, here we are.
Right. So everybody makes jokes about how Florida just been out here since the beginning. Like not really,
right.
not really doing what we're supposed to be doing to better mankind at this point. But you guys are actually located out in California. So what did that look like as far as like the shutdown, as far as like how y'all was moving, like just like in the beginning of COVID stages, like what did it look like in Cali?
Really the whole time, like even just up until like this week, last week. I mean, we actually in our county, we still can't indoor dine. Like it's been really restricted this whole past year. So all the way like, so in March, I mean, it began with just, you know, no outdoor dining, everybody's working from home if you can. All those types of things. But I mean, it's been that whole way for the whole year. Like it's not like Atlanta, it's not like Florida. Like we are really locked down out here. No movies, no bowling, no nothing. Like no sports, no nothing. The whole time.
Right. Like it was like Chris said, it was a complete lockdown. And you know, when it first started, you could only like leave to like walk around or to go to the grocery store. Everything else was pretty much shut down. Like everything. They weren't even giving out tickets. That's how serious it was. Like everybody was shut. If you weren't an essential business, and that came to like, you know, if you were going to the hospital or the pharmacist or the grocery store, nowhere you could really go. You know, everything was locked down. Yeah. So it was just I
mean, like to the point where I had to order hair off Amazon and like online because all the hair stores were closed. Everything. Like nobody was really doing anything.
Right.
I mean, so we would just congregate in small groups with each other, got to know our neighbors, but there was really nothing we could do.
Okay. So Cali actually was following the rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Got it. You know, we don't know nothing about that down this way, but you know,
right, y'all living your best life out there.
Like I would say, I was
like, I get out there. They're turning up out there in Florida. I'm like, sheesh,
we're going stir crazy.
Right? When are we going to start turning up like that?
Yeah, Florida, a different breed for real. It really is. But you know, that's neither here nor there. Okay, so you guys are on lockdown for real, minimal movement. So that looks like friends and family as well. So as you started to, let's fast forward, you find out about baby in April. Let's say by the summer, June, July time, you guys are, you know, more in it. There's more, you can kind of see more of the severity of things because there seems to be a shift in the whole COVID seriousness as we reach the summer. I think partly because it was still going on. The numbers were rising crazy. People were, you know, losing people left. I think it just got a little more real as time went on. So as we reach the summertime and you guys are, you know, babies cooking, babies growing, did the feelings about what that whole process was going to be like change for you guys in that moment? Or was it still kind of like not so much about the baby, but just kind of like you guys surviving and thriving?
I mean, I think even in June, July, because I was still pretty early in the pregnancy, it wasn't there, like it still hadn't hit us everything that was about to come. We're still thinking this is like semi-short term and it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, we were obeying the stay-at-home orders and everything, but then like this is when I started to have like my appointments more regularly. You don't have very many in the first trimester. And then this is when we kind of started to discover like the hospital had, changed their policies. So only one person can go to only the patient can go to the appointment. So I couldn't bring a support partner unless I like physically had a disability documented.
Right.
So the next one we were like, well, wait a minute, like you can't go to this appointment. Like, okay, well maybe the next one. Nope, not the next one. Well, maybe the next one. Nope, not the next one. And we're like, okay, this is getting kind of serious, and this is not cool because, this is our first child. We like, I don't know what's going on. I don't want to go by myself. And of course he wants to go and be there, ask questions.
Right.
So like now this is around the time, June, July, where I started going to appointments, but they'd call me before the appointment and remind me you can't bring anyone. And if someone shows up with you, they just can't come in.
Right.
Yeah. That was, I think, yeah, at that point, it was a beginning of the pregnancy. And I mean, once I kind of like got to once it kind of sunk in that I can't really go to a lot of the visits, the only thing I was kind of worried about was, okay, would I be able to see my son born?
Right.
Because it's all right. Well, I can't go to these, visits before labor. That's fine. I can, we worked out a method where she had to like FaceTime me when she was with the physician, and that way I can, be kind of in the loop and ask questions as well.
Right.
But I was kind of like, my main concern was I need to be in that room. There's no way that I'm not going to see my son born.
Right.
So that was like my main concern, and I was ready to raise hell for that.
Yeah.
But I think it didn't have to come to that. So.
Okay. So let's move into then a little bit just like preparing for baby. So you guys mentioned this is your first kid. And so, because I know Chris personally, it's more so like I know you're a private person, but there are some things that you like to share with folks, especially in regards to family and friends when you're having a baby. It's an exciting time, right? So one of the things that became very popular through this whole COVID era was the virtual baby showers, the virtual gender reveals, drive-by showers, and things like that. As you guys started to get ready for, preparing for baby, buying things, sharing those moments, what did that look like for you, and any feelings surrounding, having to only do FaceTime or only do video conferences, send pictures, and not actually like gather and share those moments with folks?
Yeah, it was kind of like in some aspects it was difficult. I mean, you actually didn't have the burden of trying to plan something like that, or my sister or like one of my best friends, you trying to plan something like that. So that element was gone, which was like a little bit of, okay, now that's less work we have to do. But then we also didn't get like, everything that might have come with the baby shower. It was a lot of our friends reaching out to us like, hey, just being really thoughtful. Like, I know you guys can't have a baby shower. Send me the link to your registry. And that's kind of how we did things.
Mm-hmm.
We thought about kind of doing a gender reveal virtually, but sometimes it just kind of felt like it didn't have the same impact.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up just telling people, by phone or, video calls, FaceTime. But yeah, we didn't really have a virtual baby shower or a drive-by baby shower. Like we just, because we didn't want to be close to people either.
Right.
So yeah, we actually didn't have any of that. It was just our friends and family reaching out to us, asking for our registry. And we actually, got tons of diapers, tons of things we needed. But yeah, it definitely was not the same as having a real in-person baby shower.
Right. Like we didn't, like Chris said, we didn't have a baby shower or, a gender reveal. One thing is that, it was COVID, and, I kind of felt like everybody was kind of zoomed out. You're in Zoom during meetings, so I'm like, have another thing on Zoom.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of over Zoom,
Right.
So it was just like, like Chris said, just, our close families and friends just reaching out there, hey, you guys have a registry? Like what's going on? And then, at first we weren't even going to put a registry together. We're just going to get what we need to get and then just keep it moving that way.
Yeah.
But then, people are like, nah, you got stupid. Like, put a registry together. Like, let people, like, get you some stuff. So, we put one together, like, put some stuff on there. And, funny enough, everybody went in and got us something. And, it was just real appreciative. It kind of makes you feel like those who are really in your corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it wasn't us reaching out to them; they were reaching out to us. Like, yo, what are you doing? Like, hey, what's going on? Like, what's So, and then even like those who didn't even ask for the registry, they just started sending a whole bunch of stuff to the house. So they'll just say like, hey, what's your address? We just send them the address. They'll just, diapers would show up, a box of wipes would show up.
Sometimes we didn't even know who it was from. Stuff was just popping up on the doorstep.
Things were just popping up on the doorstep. So it really lets us know that, we had a nice little community who really, who really looked out for us and really cared about us. So that was a good feeling. So
and it almost meant more that it happened that way because like some people you did that weren't even like top of your mind just found out you were having a baby and they would send you something. It was just really thoughtful. It wasn't like a big party, everybody brings something. They were just like, hey, I know this is happening on the side. Like you guys are gonna need this stuff. And people just sent it. Like you sent me some things. Like it was just really thoughtful.
It was just real organic. And not to say that there's nothing wrong with a party. We would have definitely loved to have like a baby shower and have everybody come through and eat and drink and do all that good stuff. But, because of the time and everybody was kind of like staying to themselves and, COVID was, it was still, uncertain, everybody didn't really know what was going on. So we were like, let's not really try to do too much. Let's just, keep it real simple and easy. And it worked out.
Yeah. And we actually invited to a baby shower during the beginning of COVID. And we were kind of like, is this still going to happen? And then, the person hosting kind of messaged us and was like, we got to cut the guest list dramatically. And, and that's when we were like, oh, wow, this is like really serious. People don't want to be around each other. Not that we didn't take it serious, but when events started getting canceled and then that baby shower went from this big to like this big, we were like, wow, okay, we need to think about this differently.
Right. For you guys, and again, just because I know you personally, I was in attendance at you guys' wedding and seeing the difference in how you guys incorporated both cultures, right? So there was, for Chris's side, that aspect of getting married. And then on Basil's side, there was that aspect of getting married. Was there anything culturally that would have normally happened if COVID wasn't happening in like the bringing about of this new baby that you guys missed out on or not so much? Because I know baby shower is real Americanized, but was there anything on your side?
I mean, just so there's something that my culture do. We do a naming ceremony. Anytime a baby is born, we hold like a ceremony where people come together, gather, just kind of say some prayers and well wishes about the baby, and then they say the baby's name in the baby's ear, and then they reveal the name to everyone, and then kind of like congregate and like kind of eat and chill and hang out. We because of COVID, we were able to do something small, like we were able to do like a Zoom thing, but it was real last minute, and it was like
mainly just our parents and our siblings.
Just our parents and our siblings, because we didn't want to make a big deal out of it or anything like that. So we just kind of held that on Zoom, and it was real quick, like a 15-minute thing. You know what I mean? But, I would say that if it was no COVID, then it would have been like a whole gathering, kind of like a baby shower in a sense. But, it would be more people around, and it would have been a little more festive. But, we were still able to kind of do the naming ceremony, which was cool. I mean, it was different. It's never been done this way, but because of the circumstances, it had to be done this way. And but yeah, that's the only cultural. I don't think we really missed out on anything culturally.
Yeah.
With everything having to be virtual and over the phone, I know you guys were saying that you felt a lot of love and support with the gifts and things that you guys were receiving, and without even having to do a shower. But just like emotionally, do you guys feel supported? And like Chris was saying, not being able to have Basil at the appointments earlier on, and not being able to be surrounded by actual people. Do you feel like your experience with your first kid emotionally, like that support you were kind of robbed of it due to just like everything going on?
I do think that, fortunately, My parents are like 30 minutes away. But Basil's parents couldn't, like, there was like some flying restrictions, and I don't know if there still is, but his mom probably would have been here, I would say, like before the birth,
right,
and probably would have been staying with us as well. So it's kind of like, so right now we're communicating with her like a lot on WhatsApp, and we video her almost every day, and I send tons of pictures. But had COVID not been a thing, she would have probably been here right now.
Right. I mean, yeah, and the thing is, like, just, you know, we just have a great, you know, support system, you know, a great family and friends where it didn't really feel like we missed out because her parents are 30 minutes away. So they were able to always come by and like drop things at the door and, you know, kind of just, you know, say what's up briefly, you know, of course, you know, taking all, you know, precautions and, you know, making sure that everybody has their mask and all that stuff. And then, I mean, you know, my parents are not around, not in the States. So it's like, you know, we just keep in contact over the phone and stuff like that. So, I mean, the only difference is that they weren't physically here, but we were still in contact. We were still talking. We
Very frequently.
Yeah, we were still trading pictures and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, because of that, it didn't really feel like,
you
know, the emotional support was still there. It didn't feel like we were just kind of doing this on our own.
Right.
Good. Okay, cool. So I kind of now want to move into a more personal piece for you guys, because I remember in the beginning when everything was first happening, I just was like, dang, I don't know nobody that has gotten COVID. Like, I'm like, I went through my little brief moments of, is this a conspiracy? People just making stuff up. It's not real. This ain't really happening. And then it seemed like as time went on, everybody around me was getting it. I knew so many more people that were, you know, having COVID and having their story to tell. And it looked different across the board. So you guys both actually got COVID during this time while you were having a baby. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about the difference that it was, Chris, for your experience versus yours, Basil, separately. And then just as partner, as man and wife, like to be like, okay, my wife is sick or my husband is sick, and just how that dynamic was for your own personal and then watching your partner.
Yeah, that was pretty tough. Because we both got symptoms almost almost on the same day. I think Basil was just kind of feeling kind of ill like one day, and then the next day I started coughing, but I really felt like I had a cold. My symptoms were more like related to a cold. But nonetheless, we ended up getting tested. To our kind of surprise, but not really, because we just weren't feeling like ourselves, neither one of us, even though we had different symptoms. So to our surprise, but not really, we were both like positive, and we were just like, okay, what the heck? Like, where do we go from here? Because I mean, you hear about the stories, but really it doesn't hit home until it happens to you or somebody you know very well. So that was just kind of like, okay, where do we go from here? And then also on top of this, I was 8 months pregnant at the time. So it's like, well, this is scary. But then also, like, what does this mean for the pregnancy, for the baby? Like, what should we even do? You know, there's no medicine, there's no cure. And if there was medicine, I probably couldn't take it because, you know, I can only put certain things in my body. So it was pretty scary. We're like, you know, and I was 8 months at this time. What does this mean for next month? You know, delivery, how long does this thing last? Like, you know, I had no appetite, but I mean, I'm really trying to force myself to eat or at least drink something because I have to stay nourished. But it was tough to say the least.
Yeah. So for you personally, what were your symptoms like?
For me, I had a terrible cough and fatigue were, I would say, my top two symptoms. Like I would just cough so much, my chest would just, like I would try to not cough because my chest would just hurt so bad. And then I was just in the bed all day, and that's not like me at all. I like to get outside. I like to go for walks or just not just be in the bed all day, but I was in the bed sleeping most of the day. I would say, and then at one point I did get a fever. I had to be admitted to the ER overnight for observation. And, you know, thank God everything turned out to be okay. But yeah, my main symptoms were cough and fatigue on top of already being pregnant and
Right.
tired. It's just the fatigue was like a whole nother level. It's something
Mhm.
that's hard to describe.
Okay. Basil.
Yeah, I mean, I was more once we found out that we were positive, I was just kind of more concerned about the baby, well-being and also Chris's well-being, because when I first tested positive first, and then because my test results came out like an hour or two before her test results came out, but we still found out kind of like the same day. But so I was like, okay, I got it. It's cool. It's I wasn't really too concerned with myself because I felt like okay, like I'll be able to bounce back, but once I found out she got it, I was like, man, I was like distraught. I was like, what's gonna happen? Like, there's nothing you can really do. You know what I mean? There's no cure, there's no medication, there's no nothing. So I was like, oh man, like what about the baby? And then for a second you start to start to like think like what's going on. Like you can kind of lose it, but then you just kind of snap back in and be like, you know what, this is just something just an obstacle. We're just gonna get over it. Just have to be positive and just make sure you just do everything you can to get better. Like any home remedy or whatever it is, just just do it to get well, and that's what we did.
And this is probably the part where we really had to like lean on each other the most because typically like when you're sick, people come, drop things off, clean up your house, make you some food. It's like nobody could come over.
Right.
My parents would buy groceries and leave them at the door. His aunt brought by some things, left them at some of his cousins, some of our friends would just leave things at the door for us and then, drive away and let us know like, oh, we brought you some soup. There's some Gatorade outside, like
Right.
things like that. But we didn't leave this house you're supposed to quarantine for 2 weeks, but we didn't leave this house for probably like 3, I would say. And then we spent Thanksgiving here alone because that was near the end of our 2 weeks. I didn't even want to go be around my own family, and put them in jeopardy or his family. So we stayed here inside for Thanksgiving. It was just us two in this house for like 3 weeks straight.
Right. Right.
You guys kind of talked about, just the well-being of yourselves, the well-being of the baby. I think a common misconception, and not even a misconception, but a very common fear initially was like, you get COVID, it's a death sentence. Like everybody that gets it is going to die, or it's going to be so bad and, near-death experience. For yourselves, did you have any of that fear going into it? Like, okay, this could be it? Or were you kind of initially like, nope, it's going to be okay. Like, I just gotta, like Basil was saying, do what I gotta do to get better. But did you guys feel that sense of fear of like, this is it?
I mean, to be honest, I mean, of course, at one point your mind thinks like, what's the worst that could happen? But for the most part, we're religious. We, like we prayed about things. We think, and then the research at the time that was out is just like, that people our age are typically fine once we get through the 2 weeks. So we knew that we would get through it. We were just more concerned probably with how it could possibly impact our son.
Right. Like I don't think for once I had a fear that, oh, this was the end, my life is over.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever had that feeling because, I just felt like first of all, at the time, a lot of information, people didn't really know a lot about it, and they're still learning. Even to this day, they're still learning about it. Like even when when I did test positive and I, had a video call with my doctor, I mean, they don't really know. I mean, they're just learning just like you, especially at that time. They're just learning all the information like you. So the same information you're going to CDC and you're reading, that's the same information they read, and then they're giving it right back to you. Yeah. So it's like at that point, it's like that never crossed my mind. I didn't have a fear because I mean, we're for the most part we kind of like we're healthy people. You know, she works out a lot. I eat pretty clean, and try to do a little working out. Try.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I never had that fear. It was just always about what's the impact on the baby.
Yeah, because there's so like little research, and like I had mentioned, I got a fever for a few days, so I went to the ER. But it's like we're getting conflicting information from doctors sometimes because Basil's just like he said, they're just reading this information as it comes out, like we are. So, you know, someone would tell us like, oh, you know, try a, what is it called, a steam thing?
Oh yeah, try to do a
where you like boil vegetables or
like a steam bath or something like that.
Yeah, like you boil herbs,
right,
and then breathe them in.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like a little home remedy. Hey, it worked for me. It was working. I mean, we did get like a lot of conflicted information, like, and a lot of the conflicted information came from the nurses, because 9 times out of time you are talking to an advice nurse, you're not really talking to a doctor. So one nurse would tell you one thing, another nurse would tell you another thing. So you know, it's when you talk to your physician or your doctor, if you have like a good doctor that's kind of just tell it to you straight, like my doctor did. My doctor was just like, hey man, do what you got to do to get better. You know, if you have like a little fever or something, take a Tylenol. If you know any like remedies, go ahead and do what you got to do, as long as you're not doing anything too crazy that will, like, you know, that will kind of mess up your system, or, you know, you like steams are good, you know, drinking, you know, as long as it's not nothing crazy, you know, like drinking gas or anything like that. But or you want to drink some lemon tea with what other concoction you got going on. He was like, just do what you got to do to get better. You know, stay hydrated, drink a lot of water. You know, and he was like, it's just a flu. Like, look at it as the flu. You're gonna get past it. So, you know, I would say my physician, you know, he was for sure, like, you know, just making me like really calm down and say, hey, because not that I was like ecstatic or anything, like, just not that I was like just all over the place, but he was just like, you know, it's a flu. Just do what you gotta do to get better, and the home remedies, that's fine. You know, go ahead and do them.
So you guys did a lot of home remedies, and because really is nothing you can do. It's just kind of like one of those things that you gotta let it run its course.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically.
My mom was hitting me with all the remedies. She would wake up one morning and say, hey, try this. Do a little ginger / lemon blend, throw it in with the tea, throw some honey, throw a cinnamon stick on it. I was doing all of it. I was like, okay, what else do I gotta lose? Okay,
right.
What I got celery going? Okay, bam, celery going in. What's next?
His aunt gave us this really big pot, so we would like boil it and then like lean our heads over it and put a towel over it and just breathe in all the herbs.
And it was just pretty much just like herbs, like,
just like loosen up,
like just to loosen up just to make you decongested. And
right.
Anytime I took those little steam bath or whatever you want to call it, it worked. My sinuses was clear for that day. You know, I didn't really have much of a fever or anything like that. So I was really like, I stopped showing symptoms really after like my 5th day.
Okay.
You know, right after 5 days, even though they tell you to quarantine for 10 days, which we actually quarantined for like 14 or you know, more than 10 days. But me, I was feeling fine physically after day number 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
it took longer for me. I was just so tired. It took a long time for me to get back my energy. And then I was admitted just for observation. And, you know, like I asked the nurse at one point, like, so what happens they didn't know if they should put me on the maternity floor or if they should put me on the COVID floor. And I'm like, what do you guys do with like pregnant COVID patients? And they're like, we don't know. We never have one. Right. And I'm like, okay.
Oh my God.
A lot of the nurses, they just, I mean, I know nurses, not to talk down on nurses, because they're definitely holding it down for the country and doing, you know, they're definitely essential and doing what they need to do, you know. But at the time, you know, we were getting a lot of conflicting information, you know. A lot of them would be like, oh, we don't know. Let me find out, you know. And then they'll come and tell us one thing, and then another nurse will come and say, what? Nah, forget about that.
Right.
So it's like, hey, you know, as long as we get better, as long as, you know, everything is done, you know, with care, I'm cool.
Okay. Especially because, like you guys said, it's still so new. Everybody just kind of figuring this thing out together at the same time. So it's just like, it is what it is. You just got to go with the flow type of thing. So with that, let's move into getting babies here. So I know, Basil, earlier you were saying your main concern was not being able to go to the appointment. So then what does that look like when it's time for delivery. So just kind of let us know, like, what was the hospital procedures like when it was time for baby to come?
Well, so leading up to the time we got to the hospital, things were pretty normal. My contractions were coming. I'm screaming. He's timing them. Nobody got sleep. It was just, yeah, it was a lot. So then we finally go to the hospital, and they give you like a special parking pass. So all that's normal. But you know, there's like a short line to get checked in because they have to make sure only patients are getting through unless you're there for delivery. But it was pretty clear I was there for delivery because I was screaming and crying, you know, like, go, go, go.
Right.
So then we get up to our floor and everything was pretty normal. As far as COVID protocol, we all had to wear masks. During delivery, I don't know where mine went. It went off somewhere. Like they were, you know, understanding that I'm not going to be, you know, pushing with my mask on. But after I delivered, had to put, they gave me a new mask, had to put it right on. There was, they have my chart because I'm a patient there. So they knew that I had COVID. That's another story in postpartum, you know, because they didn't know, should we be on this? She had COVID. Should she be on this floor or that floor? Even though it had been, you know, a month or two since we had it. But yeah, everything in labor and delivery was pretty normal. Everybody got their own room. I mean, we just had to wear masks. We absolutely had no visitors.
Yeah. No visitors allowed. Yeah, everything was normal. And it also just it all depends on what hospital you go to, really, and also depends on what nurses you get because, you know, when we first got there, you know, I mean, some people have different characteristics. You know, some people are more like rush, while other people are more relaxed and kind of just go with the flow with things. So when we first got there, we kind of had a nurse who was trying to rush Chris to get undressed, get dressed, and I was like, look, she's in pain. I would tell her, Chris, take your time. All right, we're not in any rush whatsoever. So take your time. If you need to sit here and gather yourself and, you know, take a little 5 minutes, sit here and take a little 5 minutes. If she want to leave, she can leave. We can go get another nurse ASAP. But my whole concern was making sure that she was all right, you know, because, you know, this is my first child and you really don't know what to expect, but it's another day for work for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So at the same time, they want to be in and out, get it done, and be on to the next. And I'm like, hold on, you know, this is another day for work for you, but, you know, this is my family right here. Mm-hmm. So I have to make sure my family is good. So if you need to go and take a smoke break or go on your lunch break, do what you got to do. That's fine with me, but don't rush a situation.
Right.
Yeah, I'll second that because you can only have, since the hospital was on like restrictions, you can have absolutely no visitors and only one support person. So it's really important that your support person, for me, my husband, was like, you know, there and able to kind of speak for you because he's the only one. Like I'm not thinking clearly. Either I'm on medicine or I'm in too much pain to get any words out. So you have to, you know, make sure that one person you choose can really hold you down because there's no switching. Like if he had to go somewhere and come back, like my sister can't come or my mom can't come until he gets back. Like you get one person and that's it.
Right. I mean, just a side note, like I've always had respect for women, but just seeing the whole process of my son being born gives me a whole nother respect especially for women, especially single mothers. Like I don't know how they do it by themselves, for real, because it is not easy. Like imagine just going through that whole process by yourself. The thing's not easy. So respect to all the single mothers out there.
Right.
Craziness. A lot of people say that though. Big up to all the single moms. I definitely want to second that.
Facts.
It's not easy at all. It is not easy. Like from
even
the
with
beginning, right? From the beginning, from the night before, all the way up to the day after. It's a constant like aches and pain and movement. And if you don't have somebody next to you that's strong, you know, mentally as well as physically, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So the entire time that you were there, then it was just you and Basil, like no visitors at all.
None. Nope.
Nope.
If like people can come and drive up and drop stuff off, like we ordered DoorDash.
Right.
My mom and dad brought by his laptop. They brought me a Slurpee because I was on 7-Eleven Slurpee. That was my thing. So people can come drop stuff off, but absolutely nobody in or out except for your one person.
Right. And then even with that whole situation of, trying to like get DoorDash because I'm not considered a patient,
Right.
It's the mom and the baby. So they don't really cater to me. They're catering to the mom and the baby. So when it's time to get food, they're taking her order. I'm like, oh, what about me? And they're like, maybe she could just order 2 portions and, y'all can share. And I'm like, you know what? It's all good. I'll get some DoorDash. And then we was ordering some food. And one nurse, one of our nurses, first of all, she came in like just like extra like on edge because we had COVID. And she was like, oh, like she was just kind of on edge, like, oh, like they're not supposed to be on this floor, and like they're not supposed to do this and all that. Like she was just fine. So all the other nurses like, nah, they're okay. They had it. It's been a month since they had it. All the protocol, all the paperwork saying that they're good. They don't need to move to the floor. So she was just being a bit extra, but I mean, it's her health. She can do that. But it got to a point where she wanted to. She was like, "Oh yeah, I can't leave the room. I can't go down and get my food." And I'm like, I just ordered food. Like, how am I going to get my food? And she was like, "Well, maybe they can let the DoorDash person in." So another nurse overheard our conversation. Was like, no. You just had a baby, right? And I'm like, yeah, my wife just had a baby. She's like, look, you got to pass on your risk. Go down, get your food. They're gonna let you out. They're gonna let you back in. That's exactly what I did. And then when I came back up, I just told the lead nurse, like, yeah, we just need to switch out our nurse because we didn't bad talk or anything. We're just like, we were just like somebody different.
Yeah.
We just left it like that. We just like somebody a little different, And then when they got us somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, it's her prerogative.
Right.
But she was just being really more extra than we could handle. And we was like, we're going to be here for 2 days. If you're scared of us because we have COVID in our chart, that's fine, but we just need somebody else.
Right. So, and that's like, she's entitled to that, but you're not about to like stress us out.
Right.
And let me just make it easy for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we swapped out nurses and we got a new nurse who was, just gave us the game or just hooking us up at everything.
Right.
So it worked out in our favor.
Right.
And I know a couple of people who are pregnant right now, and I know they're tuned in right now. That was one of their main concerns, was just like how the nurses and the medical staff are handling the parents with the whole COVID thing going on. Like, they wanted me to ask specifically, like, did you guys feel like you had, bad care or felt like you were neglected at all, or, things like that. And you kind of touched on that, but if anything else that you would like to add to that, as far as just like your stay there and how you felt as far as medical staff attending to you guys and, having the proper care that you needed?
I mean, really, if anything, because the floor is really quiet and the nurses were telling us, like, normally without a pandemic, it would be buzzing around with visitors and people, but it's like crickets. Like, everybody's in their room. You can't just be wandering around. And because we had COVID, the nurse that is assigned to us can't be assigned to anyone else. So if she's not in our room, she's sitting at the nurse's station waiting to come back in our room.
Right.
So that was a protocol at the hospital we were at. But I mean, I felt like everybody was very attentive because there's a lot less people on the floor to attend to. It's just the patients and the one support partner. It's not a bunch of visitors. It's not people walking around. Right. Like, everything is like, you have to be checked kind of at every, on every like level of the hospital. You can't just be wandering around. You have to have your wristband on. There's no extra people. So I felt like actually we probably it was more attention because there was less people there.
Yeah, and I'll go back to saying that, a lot of that also has to do with the nurse that you have. Like, that's big. Just having, like, just good people. Like, you can tell if somebody just has to be there because of their job. And they don't want to. Kind of reflects in their work. I mean? We're human, you know what I mean? But like at a situation like this, it's all about the nurses. Like it's all about, because it's the nurses that are gonna come in and help you with oh, this is how you can breastfeed the baby, and this is how you can do this, and give you pointers and stuff like that. So it's always good that it'll be great if you can get a nurse who is a mom. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's a great. They don't have to be a mother, but just somebody who has patience.
Yeah.
Who has patience. And just, because we're not disrespectful people, and we're not the type of people like just kind of like just start screaming and call. Like, we don't do that. If anything, we'll just swap you out and say, okay, you're not working out. Let's get somebody else in here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would just say, just to any of the advice, advice to your to any of your viewers who are pregnant and just kind of like want some pointers. Just make sure you got a nurse that you feel comfortable with. You can always swap them out. Like, don't feel like you're stuck with this person.
That's all I was gonna say is to whoever asked that question. Don't be afraid to say, "Hey, can I get a different nurse?" You don't even have to tell them why, and they'll just switch them out.
You don't have to tell them a reason because we're not over here trying to get people fired and trying to like mess up their reputation.
Right.
We're just like, hey, we'll prefer if we get a different nurse. We just left it at that, and and they're like, okay, we'll get you another nurse. So you're not, the ball is in your court. You know what I mean? You're the one. You're a patient. They're supposed to give you the care. That's how I look at it. As long as you're not out here like screaming at them and trying to boss them around, but at the same time you need somebody who's compassionate and got a little patience and who's able to give you a little pointers. And I'm telling you, once we switched out our nurse, like she was giving us a lot of pointers. She was like hooking us up with the juice boxes, She was hooking it up. Mm-hmm. She's the one I even said that, oh yeah, well, she's not on a calorie count, so she can order as much food as she wants, and that way you can eat some of the food because technically I'm not a patient. Our former nurse, she didn't give us that information.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, I'm just here to just chart, do what I gotta do and dip out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, just that's the only advice I can give. If you're not comfortable with the nurse, just
COVID or not, just be if you're not happy with the nurse, just be like,
just say I need to talk to the head nurse, and because the head nurse is always going to come in and check on you, and you can even tell a physician, you can just say, hey, and there's going to be multiple nurses that are dealing with you, so just tell one of the other nurses like, hey, I'll prefer to get a different nurse.
Yeah.
Right? They're not going to ask you, oh, well, okay. Is everything okay? Yeah, everything's okay, but I'll just be more comfortable if I get a different nurse. And they'll go swap them out.
Right. Okay. Cool. So before we get out of here, I kind of want to then talk a little bit about the aftermath. So baby's here. You guys get home. What is life like now with your quarantine baby? Like, are you guys still on restrictions in Cali? What is it like in getting out and doing things? And now that baby's here, being able to be around your family, like what does it look like now?
Man, so restrictions are just starting to lift, literally this week.
Right, like literally, they literally just said that they're allowed to have people eat inside at a certain 25% capacity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because numbers are cases are decreasing and more and more people are getting vaccinated. So they just March. What's today's date?
Yeah,
today, if not yesterday. Like they just lifted that, and
so now we're starting to get out a little bit more. Now that he's actually had his shots and Basil's had a portion of the vaccination. We're getting to a place where we're more comfortable being around people. But in the beginning, even our nearest family got COVID tests before they came over. So nobody came over the day we got home from the hospital because everybody wanted to make sure, they were free and clear of COVID before they came over, which we appreciate. And then, when we have people, family and friends fly in, either they'll get tested before they come over or they'll wear a mask and of course wash their hands and sanitize. Or not even hold him and just kind of look from a distance. Mm-hmm. So it's we want our family to meet him, we want everybody to meet him and come over. But during his first he's almost 3 months. So, but during his first month of life, it was like
nobody.
Yeah.
I'll even say 2 months. The first 2 months.
Besides, like, I mean, yeah, maybe my parents and like one or two of his family members. Right. It was like no one.
It was like nobody over. Like, and even when her parents came over, it was like, mask. And just to come and actually physically see the baby. Like, okay, I had my eyes on the baby. The babies were healthy, but it was no like touching it. Because we wanted him to at least start to get his shots first before we. So now that he's usually they'll wait for 2 months before start get the first round of like immunizations, like all that. Like polio and all that stuff.
Just regular immunizations, but the immunization isn't the vaccine.
No, it's not the vaccine of COVID. It's just regular like shots they usually give babies when they're born, right? And we wanted to at least wait 2 months before we actually start going places with him and actually having people real close. So I would say for the first 2 months, a lot of people respected it and then come by and just FaceTime thing.
Yeah, everybody was pretty respectful. I mean, we had just, like I said, my parents, one or two of his family members. Like, of course, my sister came over, but they all got tested in advance or they wore a mask.
Right.
Everybody was very cautious about where they've been, who they've been around. So it wasn't like a big, everybody come see the baby. Nah. And we didn't go anywhere for like 30 days.
We didn't go anywhere.
Which was actually kind of hard, just being cooped up in here. And I mean, we have like plenty of space, but like we didn't want to go anywhere. We barely wanted to go to the store and get groceries because we don't want to bring back anything. Right. He's never been to the grocery store. The only places we've started to go were outdoor dining. We go to the park where there's lots of air and we can like, sit in our own section in the grass. Like, we're still pretty cautious, but
things are starting to open up a little bit. Like, a lot of people are starting to get vaccinated. I mean, at first I wasn't sure about the vaccine, but then I have a lot of close family members who's taken the vaccine and they seem all right. So I was like, all right, well, why not go ahead and take mine? So I've taken the first dose. I mean, I didn't grow an extra head or nothing. I haven't started barking yet, but if you get a phone call that I bit off Chris's cheek, just know. You feel me? But I mean, it was cool. It was. I mean, the only thing with COVID, it was just kind of like keeping them away from everybody. But obviously, once you have a baby in the world, it's like all the responsibilities that come with that. So you're not sleeping. You're on his schedule pretty much. So. Yeah, team no sleep over here.
Right.
Okay. Cool. One question I did have, because I know a couple of people, do you guys have any lingering symptoms? Like, now that you guys have been clear and free for a couple months, anything like kind of like lingering after the fact, or you're pretty back to normal?
None for me. I feel 100% back to normal.
I had a little lingering. I had it took a while before because one of my symptoms was I lost the sense of taste and smell, which is like which is crazy. It's a weird feeling. Yeah. But one thing that lingered was my sense of smell. My sense of smell kind of lingered. It's back now. You know what I mean? But that, even though I was symptom free, that took a while before it came back.
Right.
Yeah.
And I never even had that symptom. I was just tired times 1,000, and I had a really bad cough, but I never had the taste, smell. I'm back to normal.
Yeah, that was weird. Like, just losing your sense of taste and smell.
Like, he actually, like, when he was like, I really can't taste anything, he would like take a lemon, bite into the whole thing, and just have a straight face. And I was like, yeah.
Like just like
when he did that, I was like, oh snap, you're serious.
I can't taste anything. You can't,
because he calls me dramatic, but he's pretty like level. And I'm like, dang, he just did that. Oh, he really can't taste it.
Right. So that was kind of weird, and then you're not eating anything, so.
Yeah, I mean, we were just like, okay, what do you want to eat? Doesn't matter. I'm not hungry. You can't taste it.
I can't taste it. I'm not hungry, so it's like, yeah, that was. But that my loss of smell did linger for a little bit. But now, we're good now. Like, I got everything back, so
yeah.
Cool beans, cool beans. All right. Well, that's our time. I definitely appreciate you guys for coming through to speak to this conversation with me and being open about your experience and just everything that was going on. Very informative, especially for our parents out there that are about to either have a baby, just had a baby. I know I had got a lot of questions once I presented this topic. So definitely thank you guys for, being open about your experience and giving that good advice and speaking to the topic. Um, that's our time. It's been another conversation on As Told by Nay, the podcast. Again, this month we're talking about the COVID Chronicles. Meeting you right back here next week for another convo. Let's talk about it. All right.